So, the last time we spoke, I mentioned something about Super Mario Bros. 2 not being quite over yet, and it has a few secrets in it, and that's pretty true. Only the most dedicated individuals are going to figure it out. The first secret is World 9. Everyone on the planet says that in order to get to World 9, you gotta complete the game without using warps. That's not technically true. Well, it is true on the Super Nintendo remake, The Lost Levels, and it's probably what the original designers intended, but on the Famicom Disk System, you don't need to complete a warpless game. RAM address 07FA is what the game checks at the end of 8.4 to see if you qualify for the special World 9. The address is only ever incremented after completing a castle, so technically speaking, you can take a warp, then use those silly little warps that, go in reverse to take you back to the beginning of the game and actually complete each castle. So, you could just set 07FA to FF and just beat the game that way. Not that I did that to capture this footage. Oh. Well, with that being said, you can also skip the whole beat the game 8 times nonsense to unlock worlds A through D. Yeah, I know, it's cheap, but I'm on a schedule here, and I don't have the time to pull my damned hair out 8 more times just to finish this game the correct way. So, set address 4476 to 01, and start a new game. It sends you to A1 instead of 11. You didn't play the game 8 times. Eat me, alright? World 9 is weird. I don't even know how to explain it. You swim through everything, kinda, and then it's mostly just a tour de force of Super Mario Bros. You see a bunch of jellyfish, turtles, Goombas, and if you spend most of your time swimming at the top of the stage, you pretty much make it through. It's not really that big of a deal. It's kind of the designer's little thank you for completing the game the full way instead of taking warps. It's interesting, but it keeps looping forever and ever, and if you thought maybe you could cheese the game and beat World 9 8 times so you could unlock the other worlds, nah. I tried. It doesn't increment anything, especially not 7FA. Yeah. So you gotta beat the world 8 times, or, again, 7FA, FF, boom. Whatever, don't worry about it, it's no big deal. Oh, I'm sorry, not 7FA, 4476. What am I saying? Jeez, I'm an idiot. What can you do? Oh, well. I'm sorry, can you really blame me? I mean, here we go. I beat this game once. And it was a pain in the ass. I captured footage for it at least 3 times. 2 times, the footage didn't even come out correctly. And then the 3rd time, I was finally able to get the good footage so I can get it off the Blue Fire. He could edit it, and we could all be happy with until we win. Hooray, hurrah, hurrah. And then I've got to do the extra worlds, and I don't want to do the extra worlds. I mean, think about it like this. Do you know how many hours I spent trying to capture this footage for this fucking game? Alright? I mean, we are talking numerous amounts of hours. I can't even begin to describe to you the terror that this game has wrought upon my life. At first, I tried doing this with another emulator, and this just wasn't working at all. I could not get this emulator. I think it was, I forgot exactly. It's BizHack. That's BizHawk. That's right. You can get off the speed, the tool-assisted speedrunners website, and it just was not working right. I couldn't capture footage and play the game at the same time. There was some weird-ass lag going on, and it was every time they were doing a frame dump to the hard drive, and I tried working with the developers on this, but they couldn't figure it out, and I couldn't figure it out, and then I just said, fuck it, I'm tired, I can't do this anymore. I couldn't get the footage to look right anyway, so I dumped that idea. That's a good, I don't know, that was a good 12 hours of manpower wasted right there. And then the second time around, I decided to go back to my namesake for NES games, FCEUX, and it's great, and I love it, and it gets footage correctly. But I tried to outsmart myself. I played through the game using a different codec for encoding the video, and it was just the dumbest fucking thing I had ever done. And let me tell you something: when you have 4 gigabytes of video and it looks that shit, and believe me, it was so shit that I didn't even bother giving it to Blue Fire. That's how terrible it looked. I opened it up in VLC, and it looked like I had recorded something. It looked like I had recorded something for a terrible FMV game. It had lines everywhere. It wouldn't decode correctly. I couldn't even load it in Sony Vegas Pro. It didn't even know what was going on. It was terrible. So you beat the game, you have all this footage, like 4 gigabytes worth, and it's completely useless. So then I get to this point in my life where I'm like, okay, I have to beat the game again. I've got to play through every stage again, because I have to. There's no stopping it. I have to play every stage again because I gotta get the footage, and it drives me absolutely up a wall. So I've got to play the game again, and I gotta admit to you, I'm losing my mind at this point. All right, I have literally gone from trying a different emulator, an emulator that I like much more, by the way. It emulates a whole ton of things, and I like it a lot more than I do this current emulator that I'm using. But it cannot record footage to save its life, man. It's terrible at it. It's absolutely awful at it. And then I record the footage, and I thought, well, I could save some hard drive space and use a different codec. Well, yeah, I saved hard drive space, only I made all the footage look like absolute shit. It was absolutely worthless. So, played it a third time through. I didn't want to play it a third time through. I don't want to play the game anymore. Why? Why do I keep on doing these? What would make me want to continue to do these asinine jumps where I've got to jump off a platform onto a red Koopa onto another platform? Believe me, I was not looking forward to capturing footage for A through D. Okay, I sat here and I seriously contemplated stopping doing this. This was one of those things where I was just like, this is a bit much. The Japanese are sick individuals. I couldn't do it. I finally sat down and said, okay, we'll make some compromises here. First off, how does it determine when we unlock World A? And how does it determine how to get to World 9? Figured that out after a good two or 3 days sitting at the computer staring at the ROM going, "Dar, why do you not like me?" Finally set that shit aside. I finally unlocked the worlds, and here I am presented with what might be the most disappointing 4 worlds I've ever played.
Disappointed!
I mean, I spent hours upon hours on some of the levels in the original game, the original part of the game. I literally spent hours on some of those stages. There were some jumps I could not make for the life of me. Some things I got confused on. Other things where I was like, I've got to find a hidden vine? What the fuck? It's just, oh my god. It was annoying, to say the least. And I remember one part, this one world that kept scrolling over and over and over again. I kept trying to make this damn jump with the Koopa, with the red Koopa, and I couldn't fucking do it. So I had to keep going around and around and around and hitting the red Koopa and going, and it was annoying. It was very, very annoying. So I get to World A. And you know what? I don't know if it was because I've played this game twice now, or if it was just the design of the world, but man, this is a lot easier than the rest of the game. I mean, World 9 was just a joke level. It's a haha, look at this, you can swim through this, it's kind of like you're God almost, and thank you for playing our game. Then you actually die, you get the little sad credit thing that they give you, and then you start the game again. But World A, all of the worlds just I kind of blew through A through D, and I really don't have that much footage of it. There's plenty of footage of me dying over and over again. I'm sure Bluefire will throw in something like, hey, you died this many times, you idiot. I'm sure you didn't. I'm sure you thought it was easier, but man, you suck at this game. But I kept going on and on, and really, all worlds A through D are just rehashes of older levels. Although, to be fair, stages 1 through 3 of each of the worlds are kind of different levels, but the castle levels are just rehashes of older castles. Just with, some different placement here and there, some different, fire here and there, but other than that, it's really quite similar. Although, I believe DForce Castle, you don't actually take a warp pipe, you just go straight through to the end, which was a nice little thing. If you get that far, it's really not that difficult. But there's nothing. I don't know. Maybe I've become one with the Super Mario Bros. 2 Japanese version. Maybe I just understand this game a little bit better. Maybe I just get the fact that this game is literally throw Mario to the right and pray to God you make the jumps. That's literally this game in a nutshell. It's a ROM hack. It's not a complete game. It's we wanted to throw a lot of difficulty at players who were willing to give us $60 and have fun, guys, because this is going to take you, 4 or 5 months to complete because it's that much of an absolute abject nightmare. I don't know about the final 4 worlds, though. People complain that C3 was the hardest world. I completely disagree. There was one part in the worlds. I forget which world it was. I apologize, Blue Fire. I know he's trying to edit this down, and he's gonna have. I'm sure he's gonna have a hell of a time doing this. But there's this one jump, all right, and it's not in C3. I forget where it is. Where you've got to jump on one of the springs, and the spring goes to a floating block in the middle of the air, and then you've got to jump from the block to the flagpole. That was a pain in the ass. And then there was the level where it was nothing but springs and empty, and just fucking emptiness. And you got to use those super springs where you can't see yourself at the top of the screen. And there's wind, so you don't know exactly where you are in relation to the floor. So that's great. That was fun. They were just, I don't know. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't hard compared to the rest of Super Mario Bros. 2. I mean, it was extremely difficult compared to other games, but it wasn't the hardest thing that Super Mario Bros. 2 presented. I dare say Worlds 4, 6, 7, and 8 were much more difficult than A, B, C, and D. I was really disappointed because I was looking forward to this. A lot of people told me, watch out for World C, that's going to kill you a lot. And yeah, sure, I died a lot in 8th. Believe me, you're going to die a lot too. Let me get that little fucking thing in there too, because God knows it wouldn't be until we went in if I said that. Get complaints all the time. But I just felt like A, B, C, and D were easier. Everyone told me, watch out for World C, and you know what? It wasn't that bad. It really wasn't that bad. I wouldn't have made this a separate until we win video unless I was busy trying to pull my fucking hair out, going, ugh, do I really want to do this? Once I sat down and did it, it really wasn't too terrible at all. I'm actually disappointed. I am sitting here. I am disappointed in the lack of difficulty of the extra worlds. I was always led to believe that they were super hard, that they were next to impossible to complete. And to be honest with you, the game kind of made sense at that point to me. That I understood what the developers were throwing at me. That they were just, it was mostly dodge Koopas, use Koopas as jumping platforms, and make sure you've got your timing right with those piranha plants coming out of the pipes. That's it. That's all those worlds are. Oh, and never stop run jumping. Never, ever, ever, ever slow the fuck down. This game punishes you viciously if you slow down. It makes you seriously regret life if you slow down. So continue to run jump everywhere. Because if you don't, this game will just throw you off a cliff, man. It's not forgiving in the slightest. It's certainly one of the more difficult games I've ever played, especially the first part of the game. Second part of the game, I don't know. I kind of feel like Mega Man 3 is a bit harder, to be honest with you. I don't know. I just don't know. Why does everyone think the secret worlds are so much more difficult? You know what? If you have an idea as to why you think the secret worlds are so much more difficult, send me an email, lordcat@lordcat.com. Let me know why you think the worlds are so much more difficult. Oh, excuse me. That one came out of nowhere. I guess I could do another take, but you know what? It's been almost 14 minutes of me rambling nonstop, so I'm not going to do another take. So you're just going to have to live with the burp. I hope it's, not too terrible. I hope it's not the worst thing to ever happen to you. But if it is, I apologize. And thank you for listening to me ramble, because I just don't know, man. I just don't know anymore. I'm putting together XP Fest, man. XPFest.com. If you want to come to our convention, come to our convention. We're going to have a fucking blast. We got over 1,000 games there. We'll have some there. I'm sure we may do a secret project as well. And thank you to our Patreon supporters, Jim Penn, Enforcer, Joe Ortega, at the $100 levels. Thank you, Anton, Ambrasian, Tyre, Suey Kuhn, and Moss Hat at the $50 levels. You guys rock. You guys keep the show going. Patreon.com/LordCat to keep the show going. And hey, I never got to do this fucking game again. This fucking game again.